Hello and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles, as always. On this week's podcast, I'm joined by Irish Arsenal season ticket holders Eamon Donnelly and John Melia to review our 1-1 away draw at Chelsea Stamford Bridge yesterday afternoon. And remember to sponsor our very own Martin Stoneville, who is doing 60k and growing a silly moo or moustache to us for the month of November, for Movember, which is a great cause for Men's Mental Health Month. So any donations, no matter big or small, are welcome. And also sit back and enjoy the show. As I said in my intro, I'm joined by my regular guests, Arsenal season ticket holders, and the most knowledgeable that I've had on in the 3.5 years that we're going. First of all, to Eamon, how are you, pal?
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, John. I spilled some stain remover on my trousers there. I don't know what to use to get it out. And then a fella knocked on the door looking for sponsorship to do the marathon. I said, "You'd probably take the money and run." How are we doing? We're all right. Yeah, good. Hopefully, my fit of coughing won't be as bad as when I was on last time. Good to see you again, John. I couldn't get into the club the weekend,
Yeah, I get
I'm
it.
also joined by John the Baker Media, making his return after a month's absence. How are you, John?
Not too bad, Johnny. Good to be back.
Great to have you back on, John. Good to see you're both well. And as I said at the start of the show, any donation, no matter big or small, towards Martin Stoneville, who's doing the City Mo, as I said, and 60k as well. It's for a really good cause. So, with about 19 odd days left, wherever you can get into them, please do. It's for a great cause. We'll start as always with the review from yesterday's game at Stamford Bridge. A 1-1 draw. Goals by Martinelli on the hour mark and Pedro Neto, who got his first Premier League goal for Chelsea in a fairly decent London derby, you could say. A few tasty challenges going in. I thought we just about edged it maybe to win 2-1, but take a point after our recent form in the last 4 games. It's 2 points from a possible 12 now since the international restart. A 2-0 away defeat to Bournemouth, 2-2 draw home against Liverpool. A 1-0 loss, of course, last weekend to Newcastle away, and a 1-1 draw, of course, yesterday. So, considering the injuries we've had and patch-up squad, I think those 2 points I would have loved more, but look, we didn't lose yesterday, as Ray said, and we move on to an uninterrupted run of games from November onwards to March. Thank God. You can see the relief on Eamon's forehead there, and also on John's. To the action, I suppose, the return of Martin Odegaard, I thought he really started off well at the start of the game. He was on the front foot, his influence and the tempo. He just controlled the pace at his own, the game at his own pace. And I thought that assist for Martinelli's goals was pure class. It's just what we've been lacking since he's been out. There was his 8 assists in open play in 2024. Only Palmer with 11 and Salah with 9 is more. So that shows how influential he is in terms of open play. And in terms of that goal, he took 6 Chelsea defenders around him to set it up. So that's how influential Odegaard is and how much he's feared against from the opposition. I suppose to the action as well from the first half. Early on, after 3 minutes, Cole Palmer had a long-range effort, well saved by Raya, and that was the opening shot of the game. Another top-quality save from Raya. The 25th minute, Neto turned wide inside out, and his cross was met by the head of Gusto. How he missed it, I don't know. I think the pressure on him, though, made him probably head it over. There was pressure on him from, I think it was Gabriel. Arteta's approaching his 250 game match in charge now, and it's just flowing in. It's nearly 5 years in charge now. Martinelli had a shot saved by Sanchez then. In the first half, he stood up well. I thought Sanchez to him. In terms of the Cucurella v Saka, I thought Saka was kicked all day, and I thought Cucurella got away with absolute murder. I thought there was a few chances that nearly deserved probably a red, but he got away with murder. I thought Saka, I wonder if he went off injured. That tackle actually, when he did go off injured, was all thanks to Cucurella again. And Eamon was saying that last week. You don't know why you're going to get out Cucurella. He's just, but I thought he got away with murder, and not just saying that as an Arsenal fan. I thought Saka was kicked all over the place yesterday. Of course, the talking point in the first half, that disallowed goal from Havertz. Quick thinking by Rice, in fairness, from the free kick, and that actually came from Saka being kicked by Cucurella. Very martial offside. I think it was just about the shoulder from Havertz. Any other game, it probably would have been given, but VAR takes so long now, you can nearly tell after about 2 or 3 minutes it wasn't going to be given. But I thought it was very martial, and I thought it should have stood. Into the second half, Madueke, his cross was just nearly over from Fofana. And then into the hour mark, as I said, a brilliant assist from Martin Odegaard. The ball over the top was just pure quality, and Martinelli just buried it inside Sanchez's right-hand post. I think Sanchez probably be a bit angry at himself, leaving that side way open. But I thought Martinelli, the way he took it down, he took his time and he buried it. And I think that will do his confidence the word of good, I think. And he's been on a good run of form, Martinelli, in fairness. He just needs a few goals to get him ticking. The 70-minute Neto shot, as I said, his first Premier League goal for Chelsea. Ray didn't really have a chance. He was just buried inside his bottom left-hand corner. Could Gabriel have went in a bit closer, or Timber? I think his shot was so good. I think it was going in Henry. 3 minutes after that, Moreno just narrowly missed from Saka's inviting cross. 81st minute, then Saka went off, which was a bit worrying. I hope it's not too serious, and hopefully England don't include him in the squads. And then in the 96th minute, then it was that ball in from Saliba that Trossard does nudge the wide. Could he have left it for Havertz? Maybe he didn't get the shout, but I thought Odegaard's ball out to Saliba was just quality as well. He just took 2 or 3 Chelsea's defenders into Saliba. I think so annoying that Trossard didn't leave it, but this is, as John said before we came on here, this is just the luck we're having, this time. And look, it's a point gained, I think, after the run of form we've had. That away defeat to Newcastle last weekend and the return of Odegaard. Me and Eamon actually said I predicted a 2-2 draw, and a point is what we had. Since it's been a while, John, since you've been on it, what was your take from yesterday's match?
I think it was a hard fought 1-1 draw, but it was a hell of a lot better than last week's performance against Newcastle.
100%.
Somewhat a different, even an 80% fit Odegaard makes a difference. We looked a little bit more fluid, a little bit more about us on the ball in particular. We're talking there about some of the chances. Parma, I think he was showing up yesterday. A lot of people going on about the best player in the Premier League. He had that one shot in the 3rd minute. He didn't influence the game for me. Afterwards, I thought he was anonymous. The best player they had was Neto.
Sorry, John, for cutting across. Do you think that was down to Partey and Rice keeping him quiet?
I think it was the team focused on it. They kept him isolated. Made sure he wasn't allowed to influence the game.
Yeah.
Neto, on the other hand, an awful lot of Arsenal fans I know wanted Arsenal to sign him.
Yeah.
Obviously, his injury record over the last 3 or 4 years hasn't been great. We've enough injury-prone players as it is. Chelsea took the chance, and he showed yesterday what he can do when he's fully fit. Not many players have done that to Ben White. Gave him a horrible time all through the game.
Yeah, he did.
As you said, took his goal really well. He was a thorn in their side, and he was excellent. I have to be honest, very impressive yesterday. The chance you were talking about with his cross, he turned Ben White inside out, cross to the far post. How Gusto didn't score that goal, he should. Yeah. I think it was Martinelli done enough just to put him on. But that was great crack back with Martinelli.
Yeah.
Martinelli's work rate yesterday, again, you're starting to see him get back to, almost where we want him. He's up and down that wing. His work rate is phenomenal. He doesn't stop. He had that one chance in the first half.
Yeah.
A few other lads, he thought he should have put his foot through it. I can understand why you went for accuracy rather than power. If it had been a little bit lower, might have made the keeper work a little bit more, but it was at a right point to just stick his hand out.
Yeah.
But when he had that chance in the second half, he made no mistake. I couldn't believe how much time he had. I couldn't believe how much space he had. And the Chelsea keeper should be sure you don't get beaten at the near post like that. But it was a really good finish from Martinelli. Don't take that away from him. I think the Neto goal, the equaliser, I don't think it's a coincidence that Royce was taken off a minute later. Broken toe or not, you can only run so far and so fast with that one, with a broken toe. I think he could have been closer. I think Timber could have been closer. But these players were running on empty, I think, at that stage of the 70th minute. And as I said, it's a really good strike. I know it's from distance, but it goes. Gabriel is sort of blocking Ray's view.
Yeah.
On it, bottom corner. I'm not blaming Raya for that at all. I think it's just a really, really good strike. Something we should have closed down a little bit quicker, but we didn't. And like I said, I wasn't surprised Royce was taken on. And hopefully,
sorry, John, briefly. Do you think that was a bit of a risk, Royce playing? Do you think, or do you think that's just a player in him that he wanted to play?
I think a combination of both.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both. The game that was in it, away game to Chelsea, where we've been the last year, you want your best players on the pitch for as long as you can.
Yeah.
I think I don't think he was spectacular yesterday, but he put a shift in, and that's the bare minimum. As long as people put the effort in, you can say yeah. And as I said, he was a big part in keeping Palmer clear.
Boss.
You got to give him that. The chance in the last minute, again, a lot of people saying Trossard should have let it go. He's a striker. Striker's always going to go for that.
Yeah.
Always going to go for that. I mean, if he stepped over that and Havertz still missed, you're going to be giving out hell with it. Trossard go,
Yeah.
So but Saliba in the outside left position.
I was just going to say that. What a ball from the centre.
Centre half is the one of the, getting into the box to make that cross. I thought both sides tried to win it. It was, in my mind, an entertaining 1-1 draw. It did lack a little bit of quality. You're right about Saka. Every time he goes to Chelsea, Cucurella kicks him off the pitch. The referee is an absolute disgrace when it comes to the amount of fouls that Saka's getting. But yesterday, as you said, again, this just come along. He must have targets on his shin pads at this stage. Come on, see he can get closer to the middle. It's just to kick the living shit out of him. But it's constant. I'm hopeful, as you said, England leave him alone. I'm hoping England leave Royce alone.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Germany leave Havertz alone. I'm hoping Norway leave Odegaard alone. Just leave us alone for 2 weeks. Give us a chance to recuperate. In a game we definitely couldn't lose. 9 points behind Liverpool. 2-week break. Trying to recharge the batteries. Trying to get these players back fit. And hopefully now get through this busy Christmas period.
Yeah.
And I'm dying. I've been saying this for weeks now. I am dying to see the first 11 Arteta had in his mind back in August, because we haven't seen it. I'm dying to see them on the pitch and fit, so we can see what this real Arsenal, the real Arsenal. And keep my fingers crossed that's not too far away.
Yes. Coming to yourself, Eamon, having Martin Odegaard return yesterday was such a big plus. You could see the lift in the players when he was on the pitch. What was your take of yesterday's 1-1 draw, Eamon?
Well, I saw a number of positives. The first positive I saw was the team sheet. And then I looked down at who was on the bench and I said, now that's the Arsenal squad. Like, Calafiori would be the one that you might say would be in the first 11, right? The difference Martin Odegaard makes, it's not just his creativity, it's his availability in pockets of space when you're trying to get out of trouble. And I've said it on the show a number of times, he's one of the 3 players that we have that can take the ball on the half turn. And that changes everything. Because you give Martin the ball through a line, you've changed the direction of the game around because he can take it on the half turn and keep going. And then it's a bit like he paints the picture of games. You know, he's also perpetual motion too. He's not one of these guys that, because he's a creative force, does it on his terms. He does it on the team's terms. You know? And
you could say, Eamon, sorry, you could say that's a big difference if we were to compare him to Ozil. He done it on his terms, but Odegaard does it for the team, couldn't you?
I think that'd be inaccurate. I love Ozil as a creative force, but you get to work right with Odegaard on top.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal player, right?
Yeah.
A few other things. And the other positive, I thought for spells in the second half yesterday, we looked like our old selves. And I thought in the second half, looking at the fact that we were at the bridge, and they were up for it.
Yeah.
They were up for it. I'll talk about that in a second. I thought we were the better team in the second half. When I say they were up for it, Chelsea, I've seen quite a lot of Chelsea this season because I've been interested to look at how their young players are getting on. And I think there was this thing. If we'd have had a fit team for most of the season, unless you're an absolute gobshite, you would know our points tally would be better, right?
Yeah.
And I said on the show on the preview last week, if you'd have asked me the question at the start of the season, was against Chelsea, I would have said it's going to be men against boys. And I think Chelsea were mindful of that. So they kind of manned up yesterday and played with a physicality that they haven't played. They didn't bring to Anfield. They were quite impressive at Anfield. They should have won the game up there. But at Old Trafford, they didn't bring that kind of physicality. Now, Michael Oliver didn't do us any favours, right? For a start, Casido was going around like a mixed martial arts expert. He was barging into fellas. No, you're not going to break anybody's leg doing that. But it's constant. It's constant aggressive conduct. It's a foul every time. It's persistent. And he should have been off the pitch because he did it 6 or 7 times. Right? There was one particular body charge. I don't think he got a yellow for that, did he?
He didn't know. It was actually this. He didn't get a yellow for anything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, without crying over spilt milk, if you look at Leo Trossard's first yellow card against Man City, not the one who kicked the ball away, and you say he can get a yellow card for that, I think it was the same referee. If I'm not mistaken, he can get the same referee. He can get a yellow card for that, and then Cachito can win on a full body check with no intent of playing the ball. And there's no yellow card. It's absolutely ridiculous. Our friend Cucurella gets man of the match for clumping Saka. He actually targeted his ankles, lads. Yeah. It's worse than just an aggressive tackle. He went for his ankles every time. That boy is going to be crippled if he doesn't get protection. Yeah. He's limped off 3 games now this season after getting absolutely clumped. And it's a shame on the Premier League and the Pigmaul circus that boy gets kicked the way he does. And he's not one of these players, you know, that takes the ball so much into contact like dear old Jack Wilshere used to. You know, he doesn't invite that. He's a player who has a very, very good first touch that gets him out of trouble rather than into trouble.
Into trouble, yeah.
If you look at the Martinelli chance in the first half, look at it again. Saka tries to get a shot away.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely walloped after he gets the shot away. It's an absolute disgrace. I thought, though, another thing that encouraged me yesterday was they played through our lines early doors. And Cole Palmer was getting a lot of touches in the first 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, there was a Cole Palmer touch map. Did you see that? In 19 minutes, he'd gotten 2 touches. So that was very, very good by Arsenal. That's what I mean about looking a bit more like our old selves. We were able to manage in-pitch situations. I think Gusto missed that chance because of Martinelli.
Yeah.
If you look at it, he just gives him a nudge, in a split-second nudge that's not enough for a penalty, but enough to turn Gusto's body slightly in the way he didn't want it to. And see, you have to remember, on television that looks easy. the pace that ball's coming across.
Come on, yeah.
A little nudge to your body and a slight change of shape changes the direction of the ball totally disproportionately to the little nudge. You know, I thought it was a great piece of defending. I thought Martinelli was absolutely outstanding. I thought his finish for the goal, he gave Sanchez the eyes. You know, he looked as if he was going to go across him and then decided no, and he hit it.
I just want to say briefly to the listeners, Eamon sent in plenty of down crosses in the Emirates tournament we had a few years ago, except he never went near anyone's head.
When you have Dennis the Russian playing up front, you know, yeah, his first touch was a volley anyway. But so just a couple of other things on their goal. I think John is right. I mean, first of all, Declan, I don't know how he played as long as he did on a broken top.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real classic case of it. Not so much run into the ground, John. It's more a case of the painkiller wore off.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally
Do you
agree.
think that was risky, Eamon, as I said to John? Do you think that was risky playing him? Yeah, I tell.
Of course it was risky, but would you be more? Okay, if we're going to take risks, right? Here's the game of chance you play, right? You don't play him, and England call him up. You play him, you get 70 minutes out of him. It's clear that he's injured, and if England call him up, say we can't release him. Declan, like England will not get Saka or Rice. They will not get Saka or Rice, and the reason being that those two lads will want to play for England, but they know they're injured and they're sensible boys. It's the club that has the call, not the international squad. If the club declares them injured, they're not going. Right? When clubs are messing around with players, the player might decide, no, I want to play. Those two boys know they're injured. Right? They will not be going with England. I have a different take on Odegaard going with Norway because he probably needs a bit of game time. You know?
There is that.
I think if Odegaard's going with Norway, I think they should have the good grace to agree how long he's going to play for, right? Because I just want to I just want to deal with their goal and then the last minute chance before I get on to one or two more other points. Their goal, I think Arteta was understandably distraught about their goal because okay, so Declan's running on empty maybe, or the painkiller is worn off, but when Neto picks that ball up, Timber doesn't get across quick enough. Saliba is still out of position from a corner. He's on the wrong side of the box. And I just think with Gabriel, do you know what? If you're outside the box, forget about this putting your hands behind your back.
Yeah, yeah. Because you're taking a 50-50
you're
chance.
Outside your box, go all in and block the thing, right? Because all you're doing by doing that thing, okay, you don't want to give away a penalty if you're inside your box, but as John quite astutely pointed out, you're obstructing the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I mean, Ray is going to save that if it's a raw shot and he can see it, but he can't see it until it goes past Gabriel. So I'm just thinking, if you're outside the box, you're better off just spreading yourself and let the consequences be the consequences. For the last chance that Trossard missed, there's two things on that. Firstly, John is right. He's a striker. I think he did get the call. I think he got the shout because Havertz never shouts at a player after an incident, and he just went after it because I think he gave him the shout. But I think what Trossard tried to do was, if you look at where he was standing, if he meets that full on, he's hitting on the goalkeeper's side, so he hasn't a lot to aim at. But the other side of the goal is open, and Trossard's very adept at doing this kind of thing. So what he tried to do was open up his foot and he would have just side-footed that, no power required, and pass it into the corner. But he just didn't get his foot sorted out. But if it's any comfort, I think it'd have been ruled out.
Probably, yeah.
I think Saliba would have been called offside, you know. But look, a lot of positives. I don't want to be going on about this week after week, but some of the stuff from people who should know better, you know, like laughing at us now. Our own fans on threads laughing at us because we're in a top four battle.
Yeah.
You
I was
know,
just going to say that to you.
and like they won't be happy. These guys won't be happy until Arteta is given the boot. So I don't want to deal with. You know where I stand on Arteta. I just
What
want
do you
to.
think, Eamon, briefly? What did you make of the disallowed goal? Do you think that was marginal?
No.
No, it's offside. As soon as I saw the line, it's offside.
So,
I think, to be honest with you, if Havertz had been a split second more, if he'd have looked at Declan Rice a split second earlier, he'd have gotten himself into it just another half a foot where he needed to be.
Yeah.
He looks at him late, you see. If you look at it again, Rice is looking up, he's weighing up the option, right?
Yeah.
And by the time Havertz looks up, he just hasn't walked far enough because he's so much space. He could have walked another half a foot being on the side, you know. But look, it was a good piece of thinking. I think it was a good performance, and I think that Chelsea team will trouble an awful lot of teams, right?
totally.
And I wouldn't turn my nose up to that point yesterday at all. Now, just on some of the nonsense, let's not talk about. We know. We know the quality of the manager we have. He doesn't get everything right, but we know his quality. But if you read his interview and he tried to explain to people what he's been dealing with. So it's not just about, as he said, who can't play. It's about who can play, but they can't train.
Yeah.
Right? So he says he needs a kind of a controversy-free, injury-free international break, right, where people can come back and get fit to get fit. Get fit to train to get fit. And that's what we've been dealing with. We've been dealing with a completely patched up team. I'm just looking at the list there. Calafiori has been out for a number of weeks. White was out for a few weeks. Tomiyasu's been out for the season. Timber was out for a few weeks. Zinchenko was out for a few weeks. That's just the defence. Rice is playing with a broken toe. Odegaard's been out for the season. Marino was out for a couple of months. And Saka himself. And we've been playing some of these players who haven't been able to train. So how can you even do your game prep properly? And still, after all of that, we 5 of the top 7 from last year played away from home.
Yeah.
Other teams haven't had the bad run of injuries that inevitably will happen at some point, right? We've had the worst possible luck.
Just briefly, lads, sorry. I know we've had a lot of injuries, but in terms of the forward department, do you think the lack of impact from Gabriel Jesus, would that worry you that, he's not really, we're not saying really anything impactful in terms of definitely of goals. Would that worry you, John? Or do you think it's just a lack of game time? Do you think he should start from the start in games?
It's a pity because he looked really good in pre-season. He really did. He looked, and then the injury happened just before the start of the season. I'm not getting enough out of him. He's not getting enough game time. I think there's a real lack of confidence on his part.
Yeah.
I think you need to remember just how good this guy was when he first came. The first 4 or 5 months.
He was incredible.
That World Cup and the injury that he suffered there, knocked the stuffing out of him. He hasn't been the same player since.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the money we're paying him, we're definitely not getting enough out of him. But at the same time, he's probably the player that needs to start maybe 4 or 5, 6 games in succession to get him up to his best, and he's not getting there either. Yeah. So I kind of see a bit of both.
He probably would also benefit from Martin Odegaard giving him the ball.
Probably would.
He hasn't had that, Yeah.
Like and also, do you think Sterling would benefit from that? From what Eamon just said, having Odegaard to give him the ball as well. Do you think he'd be,
Well, yeah, if he can get him on the pitch, but I think there's from what I'm looking at it, there seems a reluctance from the manager to use him, to be honest.
Yeah, why do you think that is, John?
Well, in fairness to Arteta, he's always been, if you don't train hard, you're not getting on the pitch. So what's going on in the training ground? this is the Sterling signing was done on the last day. It was an opportunity thrown in there. It was always going to be a toss-up coin. Will he be useful or won't he?
Yeah.
We're not seeing enough of him to say he's not useful.
Yeah.
When you see kids like Wanyeri coming on ahead of him, then maybe he's got to be looking at, he's not the first guy that Arteta goes to in any kind of situation at the moment.
No. Yeah.
I've only seen him playing the 2 League Cup matches, and I think he's done all right in both those, but he needs more if he wants to get into the Premier League team.
Yeah. So
when his chance comes, he has to grab it, and so far he hasn't done it. Now, look, it's only a 1 season thing at the moment. It's not going to go beyond that 1 season. I'm not going to sign him. But if he wants to get a big move away from Chelsea, he needs to start putting in performances wearing an Arsenal jersey. And it's simple when he gets the chance, and he needs to work hard on the training ground to get that chance.
That's exactly it. But just one other thing. Two things on yesterday. Mikel Merino certainly looked like a different player with Odegaard on the pitch. That's for sure.
100% stood. Yeah.
Yeah. He looked very, very, very impressive yesterday.
Really hungry. Really hungry. Yeah.
Much as I love Jurriën Timber, he doesn't get close enough to stop crosses for my liking, and he's going to have to start doing that.
But again, he's
you think that's match fitness as well? He's had his injuries as well, hasn't he? Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Another player who's not firing on all, is now at 100% or even 90%. Plus, I think he's been better at right back than left back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that makes a big difference now, to be honest. Now, he's done a good job for us at left back, but he's definitely a much better right back than he is at left.
Yeah.
I agree with you. He could do more to stop the crosses, but
do you know what? He probably, John, you're probably onto something there, because looking at the way right-footed players are at left back, he'd actually probably defend that little bit wider from a right-hand side.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'd be closer to the player anyway. Whereas because of the body shape you have to be, you don't want to be done down the outside. He's probably tucking in a little bit more.
Yeah. I have to be. I mean, I know on this show I've said it before. I think our best defending left back is Tomiyasu, but unfortunately, we hardly ever see him these days.
True.
Calafiori has looked really good as an attacking option. I think he's suspect as a defender as well. But his pace, size, pure physicality, maybe gets him out of jail a lot. It remains to be seen. As I said earlier on, I'm dying to see Arteta have a go of running games with his first choice 11 available, his first choice 13, 14 players available. And I think that's going to be a sight to behold, to be honest. But
absolutely. And I just think that we need to get a positive international break, and then we need to go on and run. We need to stop thinking about the title. We need to stop looking at the points tallies of other teams.
Yeah.
What we need to do is start posting up, get 5 or 6 games that we win, and I'd say if you closed your eyes and won 5 or 6 games consecutively and opened them again, you wouldn't be in too bad shape. It would be my view.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
And the games coming up after the international break are very, they are very inviting. But you have to take, like the thing with this Premier League this season, anyone can beat anyone. So you only have to, take.
Let me tell you something, Jonathan. Backing up what John Maley is saying. John is saying that he'd love to see the Arsenal team that we thought we were going to see. Right. Yeah. I guarantee you, if we get that team and they're not patched up, any game is winnable. Any game is winnable.
Do you think, Eamon and John, do you think we're 9 points behind at the moment? Do you think that we can turn that around with 4, 5, 6, wins after the international? I still think Liverpool, they haven't met a real, there's their sticky patch still has to come, doesn't it? Everything is just too plain sailing at the moment, isn't it?
John, I just want to answer that. I know you asked the question to John because you didn't catch what I said. We've got to stop thinking about that.
The title is
ours. We've got to stop thinking about it. No, the focus has to be. No, you see, because
I think Eamon
there's a psychological pressure associated. I'm talking about the players, the fans. They want to do themselves a favour now and stop thinking about it. But what I'm saying is, if you're a player, you've got to stop looking at Liverpool and Man City and worrying week on week. But what we've got to do is to say we've got 6 points and 6 games, and our target is 18 points, right? And if we get 16 points or 18 points, then open your eyes and look where the other horses are in the field.
So are you saying, Eamon, sorry, are you saying the next 6 fixtures after the international break in the Premier League, they're massive? Like
I'm telling you, the Nottingham Forest fixture is massive.
Yeah, big time. And in form, Nottingham Forest at that as well.
They were terrible yesterday.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're going to get out of Forest though either, do you? You know, Chris Wood looks a completely different player, doesn't he? Whatever Nuno Santo done, I suppose he had a good pre-season under as well, but they've really surprised me how good they've been. You know, I thought they'd be down fighting relegation again, but look, a first game being at home, I think, as you said a couple of weeks ago, Eamon, this international reset, you know, this could be, you know, hopefully the makings of another run we had like from January onwards, you know, last year.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that is Calafiori won't go with Italy, but he'll be fit for us soon.
Yeah.
Rice and Saka will not go. Right? And Odegaard, I think if he goes, it'll be a managed situation, which might be of benefit both to Norway and to us. And then you're looking at Gabriel heading off to South America and all this type of stuff. Martinelli and all is part of all that. So ideally, if you can get your players back and there's no more crocs and you have a chance to kind of say, this is our squad now, we're nearly all healthy and fit and we can all train. You see, this is what some people don't realise. Like a player that's playing but not able to train, he's only 75% there. You know, that's what we've been operating on. Kai Havertz couldn't train.
Yeah. He really looked, to be honest with you, yesterday, he really looked up for being back at the bridge, didn't he? He really wanted a goal there.
He did. And do you know what?
He was hungry.
And I'll shut up after this, but the one thing I always ask myself when results aren't going well is, are the players trying?
And they are.
Clearly. Against Newcastle, you could say, do you know what? We didn't get out of bed that day. Yeah. It was just a bad day. But against Inter Milan and against Chelsea, the players were clearly trying, you know?
What did you make of Havertz yesterday, John? He was hungry, wasn't he? He really wanted that goal, didn't he, against his ex-club?
He's been very impressive all season. That's being brutally honest.
Yeah, he has been, John. Yeah.
And he's not one of he's saying that when he scored against them last season, he celebrated. He's delighted to be where he is. He gets where he is. He doesn't give a rat's ass who he's going against.
I love that. I do love his attitude. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm delighted if he doesn't go to Germany. Yeah, give him a couple of weeks off. Get new staples in the head room, and he's been phenomenal for us. So a couple of weeks off wouldn't do him any harm at all.
Do you also think, as well, John, as I asked Eamon there just a while ago, do you think the next 6 games are they're crucial after the international break?
I mean, you can't win the league at this stage of the season, but you can definitely lose it.
Yeah.
But as Eamon says, we can't keep focusing on others. We've got to just focus on ourselves. Get our own game sorted.
Yeah.
Concentrating on our own results. The rest will take care of itself. That's being brutally honest.
Yeah.
You know, now, don't get me wrong. It's very easy to get carried away after the last 2 seasons. Very easy to get carried away with the build-up in the summer. And, you know, we're going to win the league. We're going to challenge for the league. It's very easy to get caught up in that, and so many Arsenal fans have. But the players and the management know the hell with that. We can't do anything against Liverpool except for twice a season. The other 46 games we have to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically all we can do. Look after our own game, our own performances, how we prepare. That's all we can do. And then have a look to see where we are in the league table. So Eamon's right. There's time to focus on tunnel vision now. Just look at what's on the pitch in front of us, game to game. Okay, If we lose our next 6 games, forget about the title. Okay. If we win our next 6 games, we could still be not behind. Because we can't affect what Liverpool are doing.
Yeah.
In the next 6 games.
Yeah.
All you can do is concentrate on what you can do yourself. So I'm hopeful by the time the FA Cups games come around in early January, we'll see where the league table is then.
Yeah, the next 9 games are crucial.
All you can do is concentrate game to game. I know it's an old cliche.
Yeah.
Take everything game to game. Worry about yourself. Stop worrying about everybody else. And that's where you have to be.
I just feel that we got one win and our players were back. I think it could ignite a lot of things,
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
Yeah, it's 9 games straight after the international break, right up to the FA Cup third round weekend. So that's and obviously the League Cup. You probably fancy our chances with City gone over it now. I'd probably fancy our chances. Not speaking too soon or anything, but you'd expect.
I have to say, if I was playing Man City tomorrow, I wouldn't worry about them because they were a shambles inside.
Yeah. Well, with Guardiola coming out saying they're not special anymore, I know that's probably just him playing it up now, but they are struggling. Rodri is a huge loss. It's great to see. It's great to see.
They're missing a few players in the squad is stretched, and we've seen what that's done to us.
Exactly.
Our goes to show, yeah.
As I said earlier on, he's 250 games in, Arteta. You could say one major trophy, and the meltdown on our own thread that he's won one trophy in 250 games. Isn't that time for him to leave? Just because, it's just as Eamon says, it's not good for your mental health. But look,
it's certainly not good for their mental health. I ignored it, so I just,
Yeah, you need to have a think.
What he's done in 5 years, though, is just been the way the club has been turned around. It's just been really incredible. That book I've read. We've said this last week on the show. Revolution. The mess that he inherits him, and it's just no one has any idea until you read that book. So it's an incredible read. In terms of our next 4 fixtures after the break, lads, it's Forest at home, Sporting Lisbon away on the 26th of November, West Ham away on the 30th of November, and then the game you are heading to the midweek fixture, Manchester United at home. What do you think about them fixtures, lads? Take it game by game. Hope for the best.
I'll talk to you after the United game. I'll tell you exactly what I think of those games.
Yeah.
They're not easy. You still have to turn up. You can't turn up and expect. You have to turn up and put a performance in and work hard. If you don't put the effort in, you're not going to get anywhere. But you have to concentrate on your own game. That's it. I keep saying that it's going to be thrown up.
John, as many injuries have we had, you saw the players, they're definitely playing for Arteta, the effort they put in yesterday. They wanted that game. Yeah, 100%.
That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, that hunger is still there. Yeah.
It's very simple. If our team isn't being patched up and the players are fit enough to do the work on the training ground, with the squad we have, we'll be okay most days.
Yeah.
Once John is he says this every time he's on. I've never been on a show and he hasn't referenced this. Once the attitude is right, and those players have a good attitude, as you said, the bare minimum. Put in a shift,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say yesterday now it was really great to see Odegaard back though, It really was.
Partey put in a real shift yesterday as well.
Actually, the ball he gave to Odegaard for the opening goal, he won it back, done a little twirl, and then set it up for he as Eamon says, when he's a fit Partey, he's unplayable, isn't he? He's unstoppable. He's
I think we underestimated.
Sorry, go ahead, Eamon.
Sorry, John. Because we're so used to him not being fit, I think we kind of forgot how good he was when he is. Yeah.
What we're getting out of him is a bonus. I think we were all prepared to let him go in the summer.
We
weren't expecting him to play that much at all.
Yeah.
He has been far and away our best and most consistent midfielder. He's given us something this season we desperately needed. The amount of injuries and that and lack of form that we've had from other players. He's been outstanding. He's probably been. It's quite arguable he's been our player of the season so far.
That's come a long way from last season, isn't it? To say that,
this is a big when we've had this season so far, with filled with negatives and injuries and dodgy red cards and poor refereeing the season. He's been a huge positive.
Yeah,
a huge positive. And as I was saying earlier, a fit, match ready Thomas Partey is still an asset, and he's proven that. So, this. I mean, his contract's up at the end of the summer. It'd be interesting to see if he gets the extension now. We wave goodbyes, but the future. He's not the future, but looking at him there, I definitely like to hang on to him for another year. Why wouldn't you? The form he's in.
Yeah, we're seeing the form that he was in with Atletico Madrid when we bought him. He was that influential. But we're seeing a bit more from him. He's a bit more up the pitch as well, isn't he? He's not as defensive minded as well. He's some strike at the ball as well. He's
a really good footballer.
Yeah. It's just that he swamped around such good players, so it's just because we've such a good 11, it's easy to kind of, yes. Who was your man of the match from yesterday, John?
For Arsenal?
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm going to give it to Martinelli. I thought he was superb. I'll shoot again. Up and down that pitch, and he took his goal well. So I'll go Martinelli.
Eamon?
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that, but just to vary it up a bit, I'm going to go with Thomas Partey,
Yeah, I'd only give it to Martin Odegaard just for that assist alone, and the way, he brought that tempo back, and he was on the front foot from the start, pushing everyone up, and, it was just really refreshing, and it gave all the Arsenal fans a huge lift just to see him back on the pitch again, and it leaves us in fourth place. 9 points behind Liverpool, but as you both said, too early to talk about title shock yet. Just keep chipping away at that difference, like what we're good at for the last couple of seasons, to breaking down the points difference. So hopefully, after the international break, we go on a run of form, and who knows where we'll be up to the FA Cup third round weekend. Yeah. Was there anything else, lads? It's been a good show tonight. Anything else, lads, about the supporters club or anything, or you like mentioned?
Come on in. Big crowd in the River again yesterday. Always a good atmosphere. Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, it's going from strength to strength, yeah. A big thanks to the Arsenal Supporters Club Committee as well. They're making it some supporters club in Dublin, that's for sure. And also, as I said, support Martin and his silly Mo for Movember. I'd like to thank my guest, John Mealy. Thanks for coming on, pal. Great to have you back off the bench again, fit and healthy, John Mealy. See what happens. And you've got great guests. And also to Eamon Donnelly, regular pundit at this stage. Thanks very much. You can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and also on Spotify. So until next Monday, have a great week, lads, and up the Arsenal.
Take care.